Hey guys, I am Greg, that is Stephanie, this is Perry, and we are both real estate agents here in the Florida Keys. So if you're looking to buy, sell, or have your property managed, please reach out. We'll be more than happy to help you out. Go ahead and check out our new and improved website. I will link it in the
show
verbiage.
Notes. Yeah.
And so today we're going to talk about 10 things you should know before moving to Key West.
Yeah.
Or think about before moving to Key West.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, this is such a big topic, and we're going to try and move quickly through the 10 points. There's so much to talk about here. But it's things that we have come to know or things that we've observed other people maybe learn the hard way or struggle with. And so it's just like, just little things about the island and big things about the island that are very important to know and keep in mind if you're wanting to relocate here.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just stuff that we've learned along the ways and heard and seen and
thought you would find it interesting and maybe you'll use it if you're going to move here. So these are in no particular order.
Yep. But I think we can start off with one of the biggest questions.
Oh, for sure.
Are question marks, which is housing.
Housing, absolutely. So if you don't know Key West, we have a housing crisis here. Which means
long-term affordable housing.
Yes, absolutely.
You can get plenty of Airbnbs.
Oh, right. Yeah, and that's part of the crisis situation is that a lot of properties are used as vacation rentals, which means less housing for people who are full-time residents here. And so that's a small part of the crisis that we're seeing. So, a lot of times when you relocate somewhere, you find your house and then you find your job and then you find a place to live. And we always say, like, if you're planning to move here, find a place to live and then look for a job, because along with, and we'll talk about it in a minute, along with the housing crisis, what you find is there are plenty of jobs available. So finding the job's not the problem. It's typically finding the place to live. So on the island, really, there's buying or renting. Those are really your two options. So with regard to buying, something that you would want to keep in mind that may not be on everyone's radar is insurance costs. Of course, if you worked with us or, any agent, that's part of the conversation, but just something to keep in mind is, the insurance costs and obviously weather impacts and things like that are really unique to our region. It's an interesting market here. Interesting real estate market. There are some sort of, nuancy things down here in the Keys. So, we're real estate agents. So obviously we're going to say this, but even if we weren't, it does behoove you to work with. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. Especially if you're buying. Yeah.
You're not paying
if you're on the buying side.
Yeah.
Yes. Just to have someone to kind of help you. There's more to that even just with the workflow of looking at houses and things like that. But
so there's buying.
It's interesting.
As one option.
Buying is one option, absolutely.
The second would be finding long-term rentals.
Yeah. And
I get asked this question a lot on our morning lives, and it's what is the cost?
Right.
Well, I like to say usually budget for $3,000 and up.
$3,000 a month.
$3,000 a month and up, and that would be for like just a little tiny studio, probably in Newtown, if you're lucky. If you're cool with having roommates, sure, you can probably find something in it. I've seen multiple for $1,800.
Absolutely, for
$1,800 a month for a room. And you have at least one or two roommates. So the suggestion would be go and treat this like it's your job, which would be checking out Facebook Marketplace. There's Furnish Finders. There's other little websites that you can check that you need to check
constantly.
Frequently.
Yeah.
Because in some cases it does pay to be one of the first people to reach out to someone.
Yeah. Because you got to think like landlords with the situation that we have on the island in terms of housing, landlords, especially if it's a desirable property, can get, this is no exaggeration, over 100 applicants, over 100 people interested in their
$4,000 or $5,000 for $4,000 or $5,000
a month
rental.
Yeah. And that's a lot to wade through. So you just have to think of it from the other side. What I always like to say is, like, be the type of person or inquirer, right, that you would like to deal with. So it's like, being proactive in your communication
and being
prepared, right? Like
plan for first, last, and security,
absolutely.
Which is the amount of the month.
They're more than likely going to do a credit check, more than likely going to do a background check. All of that, it pays to be professional.
Yeah.
It pays to be a good communicator. It pays to be prompt once you see something that you're interested in, being the first to inquire. All of these things, none of it guarantees, right? But all of these things help with you being the one to actually secure the property. And there's a lot of competition. Yep. I've also seen, and Greg and I kind of, not that we argue about this or anything, but I always say, don't go into Facebook groups where you can find these rental properties and only do a post that says, hey, I'm moving to the Key. I see this all the time. I'm moving to Key West, looking for a place, move-in date around July 1st.
I'm nice, clean, no drugs, and don't drink.
No drink, no drugs, no drama.
That just sounds too good to be true when literally every single person that's looking for something says that.
They all say the same thing, right? And
so be truthful.
A lot of people also don't put a budget, right? And here's the thing. You have to understand. The vast majority of people who have a property, even a room for rent, have no trouble filling that property or that room.
So you need to stand out.
They're not scouring the Facebook pages looking for people to fill their property. It's the opposite.
And that's not to say that you may not find someone, because it is.
It's possible.
I think what Stephanie's saying is, if you wanted to do that, fine, but don't let that be your one-stop shop. Don't put all your eggs in one basket.
No.
Don't apply to Yale when you can only go to a community college.
I saw
not that there's anything wrong with community college. I went to community
young
college.
Woman, like, I don't know, a month ago or something like that. And she was like, okay, this is my last time posting. I got my dream job that I've been dreaming of getting since I was a little girl, and it's down there, but I can't find a place. I posted 3 weeks ago and I never found anything. And so she's just posting in these Facebook groups, and it's like, if you are you got your dream job and you just need a place, like, you have to treat this like your job now. That's the frustrating thing. It's like, she thought, I'm going to just post in this group, and then someone, like, this amazing, like, property is going to drop on my lap. And maybe in some markets that's a possibility, but here it's just not. So I think the biggest takeaway is find a place to live first.
I think that's your first and foremost.
Absolutely.
Secure housing.
Yeah.
If you're buying,
it is a little challenging. And again, I think this is part of having conversations with people, right? Is a lot of landlords want to understand your employment situation, right? So it's kind of like the chicken and the egg thing.
But a lot of jobs down here
want to know that you have a place to live.
They'll say your employment's contingent on housing.
Right.
That's when you know you have a bad housing problem.
Yeah. So it's a little bit of a chicken and an egg. There's some science and some art.
Yep.
I think the best thing if you're on the rental side is being proactive, being very clear, prompt, professional in your communication, being prepared, and just every situation's a little different, but that's our advice.
Yep. So housing's
a big one. Absolutely.
One of the
10 things you should know about. Yeah. When you're moving to Key West. Okay. So the second part of this conversation is jobs. So we touched on that a little bit. There's no shortage of jobs down here.
There's plenty of jobs. It comes back to number one: can you get housing?
Yeah.
If you can get housing, you should be able to get a job.
Yeah.
I don't want to say you definitely can, because who knows?
Sure.
But I think there's 60 jobs available with the city alone.
Mm-hmm.
So that's not even including like the hospitality industry.
Or
anything else, or working remotely, or whatever.
Yeah, there's any industry you can think of. It's funny because we've had people come on our social media. There's this one guy that comes on and says, Key West doesn't have police, or something like he just says.
He's just joking.
I know, he's just joking. We have everything here, right? We have all of the normal jobs, and we need all of the normal employees to do those jobs. And then we also have like a massive like tourist industry. So there's a lot of hospitality and service jobs. There's no shortage of, think about even like tradesmen. right? Like really great tradesmen.
Yeah.
If you are handy in any way, we have a massive, massive vacation rental program on the island.
Well, just think about it. Anytime you call for something, for the most part, I don't want to say for everyone, but I need a plumber, or I need an electrician, or I need a contractor, probably the bigger one. And you're just...
Well, we had a client who needed
groomer.
glass partitions.
And they said, I can't even give you an estimate.
They said, we can't even give you an idea of when we can come out to even give you a quote.
Yeah.
Like, that's not rare at all.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean...
That could be another problem, but yeah.
Sure. Yeah. And, yeah. So, and part of that, this all kind of fits together, right, is the jobs and the cost of living don't necessarily match. So then a lot of people who do work down here live off island because the cost of living off of
live in the
Key
lower
West.
Keys.
Yeah, so it all kind of
multiple jobs.
They
So
have
that's
multiple jobs.
That would be
Absolutely.
another thing which comes back to housing is for jobs. Are you prepared to work multiple jobs?
Yeah.
If you want to live in Key West,
Yeah.
or in the Florida Keys, are you prepared to possibly have to work multiple jobs?
Right.
If you are, then great.
Yeah.
A lot of people actually do that. A lot of people say that is what I want because I want to live in the Florida Keys. I want to live in Key West. So I am willing to work this job and that job and that job and have roommates. And it means that much to them to be here in the Keys, which is the case for a lot of people. And the Keys are just fantastic.
Yeah. But also, it's not the case for a lot of people. Some people would say those are just not compromises I'm willing to make.
And
I don't want multiple jobs, or I don't
work.
I don't want to commute. I don't want to, whatever it is. So these are all just, again, things to keep in mind if you're thinking of moving down here.
All right, there you go.
All right, number 3 is weather.
Yes.
So, I mean, I think maybe on this topic, it's more about tropical weather.
Well, you can also factor in like heat.
Sure. Yeah.
Humidity.
Yeah.
Is that another one?
Yeah, let's punt that because I have that as like a second topic. But I think tropical weather, we're lifelong Floridians. So like for us to talk about it, I think we're a little, I don't know, maybe laid back about it. I think because it's just always been like a part of our lives.
The same as someone who probably lives in
like Oklahoma.
Tornado Alley.
Right.
Or something like that. Not that you're just like, oh, who cares?
We're not complacent about it. No.
It's just, well, we know that there's going to be a tornado.
Right.
Or you guys know it'll be a tornado.
It's a fact of life as a Floridian.
It's going to happen. And I get that question a lot.
Yeah.
You know, how can you live somewhere where you know there's going to be hurricanes?
Absolutely.
There's nature.
Yeah. Yeah. There's acts of God. Or
everywhere.
Weather or, extreme weather.
You have fires,
Certainly.
You got earthquakes, you got tornadoes, you got tsunamis, ice storms.
Yeah.
There's all kinds of earthquakes. So, I think as far as with the tropical storms, hurricanes, that is something you do need to consider.
Absolutely.
So, do you have the means to get off the island if you need to get off the island?
Yeah.
Now, that's not saying you have to. There's been people who have never left the island.
That's true.
But that's not something I think we would do. If it was bad, we would leave.
No, I mean, that's a big reason why we have a car, actually. I mean, for as much as...
we need it for real estate, too. But
yes. But, I mean, I think even if we didn't travel off-island, which we do, but if we didn't, I think we would still have a car because I think for us, just having the ability to get off the island is important, especially with regard to like
if you have a bad hurricane come through, you need to be ready to leave.
Absolutely. Yeah. So it's just about preparedness. It's about understanding the real
comfortability of it.
Right, sure. The real risk and what it means for insurance, right? I mean, that really is and also, I mean, think about maybe not absolute worst case scenario, but pretty darn close is if the place where you were living is destroyed, right?
Yeah.
Like, what are you going to do with your contingency plan? Because that can happen. So I think it's just, again, it's an awareness. It's being very respectful of Mother Nature. It's being prepared. It's knowing what you're going to do before the storm is right off the coast, and understanding what it could potentially mean and what you would do if, a worst case or close to worst case scenario were to happen.
Yep.
I mean, yeah, because it could happen.
Absolutely.
Okay, so, the prices of things. We're an island. It's a little more expensive down here. Everything's a little more expensive down here.
That's a frequent question also. So this is kind of a mix-up, but I get asked all the time, is it expensive to live in the Keys?
Yeah.
The answer is, and I'm not sugarcoat it, absolutely. It is very expensive to live here.
Yeah.
Especially when you factor in your rent, if you're renting. But then just factor in your groceries are probably a little bit more.
Gas.
Fuel maybe a little bit more.
Well, services, really. Most services are a little more.
Services
if you get takeout, I mean.
Food, yeah. Restaurants are a little more.
Yeah.
There's always kind of something going on the island, so it's also easy to be like, well, I want to go do this or I want to do that. But, a lot of them obviously rightfully cost money. So, the cost of living is definitely up there down here. And that's why a lot of people have to have multiple jobs.
Absolutely. All right. Number 5, kind of goes hand in hand a little bit, but like limited access to like goods, services, healthcare. It's just sometimes it can be a challenge. So like, for example, where we lived before, we were so spoiled. We had like incredible, we lived in Gainesville. So Shands, the University of Florida is there. So we had incredible, like world-class healthcare. And then, access, I mean, pretty much every big store, restaurant, everything was there.
Anything you needed, you can get.
Yeah. Or within a fairly short drive from, Gainesville. Here, as far as like shopping, we've got like a small TJ Maxx, small Ross, and we've got a Home Depot, and those are kind of
that's a small Home Depot.
And we've got like 2 Publixes and a Winn-Dixie, it's kind of a weird situation. But in terms of like, if you're like, oh, I really need a shower curtain, right? I mean, it's kind of funny, but it's like, well, where am I?
Go to Ace,
right? Yeah, Ace. We actually do have a good Ace here, but they're limited. We don't have a Target. We're closer to Cuba than Walmart.
Yep.
Like there is limited access. So luckily Amazon has been picking up their speed.
They have been picking up their speed, but for a long time they were like
many days. Like 5,
4 or 5 days. Yeah.
Which if you need something, like for us, it's like if we need something for work and it's not on the island, it's like you got to order. It's 5 days to get here. So that there's just some more planning that goes into things, certainly. And it can be a little challenging. I know like there have been times when I'm like, oh, I need like, a dress or something like that. And there's some really cute small boutiques, but if you don't find exactly what you need, I mean, there's very limited, options. So, so, and as far as healthcare, it would be something, I think what we would say is if you have like a chronic health issue or need specific care that you're aware of, like just researching that and being aware of what services are here and what you would have to drive maybe to Miami or somewhere else to get, and just being aware of like if you have older parents who are going to be like visiting you, and if you would be concerned that like, God forbid, they needed help or something, like it's just being aware, basically. Tourists. There are tourists here.
Yes. Key West is a resort town, and there are tourists. There are cruise ships that come in. Luckily, they're on the other side of the island from us, but they do come in. So, and when they unload, you got to think that's a handful of people unloading. Yeah. So there are definitely tourists, but there are a lot of businesses in Key West that rely on the tourism. I mean, without the tourism, a lot of them would be in trouble, I would think. Yeah. But there are tourists, so just plan accordingly. Know that some days are going to be a little busier than others, so just be patient. And maybe there's going to be a little bit more traffic in the winter time, or because it is seasonal too. Events. Yeah, there's always tourists, but there is a high season on the island where snowbirds are here, tourists are, all of that, like in the winter time. So that's typically when it'll be like the island will feel more full. But I think also with regard to the tourists, it's, people ask us like, oh, do you have like a big opinion about the tourists? We don't, because we don't really frequent the areas where tourists typically are. So I think that also is part of the, conversation is like, if you are imagining moving to Key West, it's not as if everywhere on the island is inundated with tourists at any given time. There are certain sort of areas where they tend to be more concentrated. So just something to keep in mind. I mean, truthfully, a lot of them stay on Duval.
Yeah.
So if you don't got to be on Duval in the middle of the day, you're in good shape.
Right.
So.
Okay. So heat, humidity, bugs, and mosquitoes is my next one.
Check, and check.
We've got them all. And it can be a little shocking if you're not used to it, I think. We have, it's very hot, but the humidity here is really sort of the thing that I think shocks a lot of people. We have a lot of bugs. We have lizards. We have major mosquitoes.
We do have mosquito control, but
we do.
I mean, you only do so much.
It's the tropics. I mean, yeah. So it's just something to be aware of if you are very heat sensitive, if you're not used to the heat, humidity. It's a tropical climate here.
I mean, for example, I would have loved to have done this video outside.
Yeah.
But it is very hot.
Yeah,
it's
very
hot. Warm.
Yeah. So if you like heat, this is a great climate for you. If not, maybe not. And then, yeah, just the bugs. It's just, unfortunately, I think that between the heat and the bugs, sometimes it does impact your ability to enjoy the outside, even if the weather looks beautiful. It's just...
Yeah, a lot of times at nighttime, it's a little tougher because you got the mosquitoes, you got the no-see-ums.
Yeah.
And some people have really bad reactions to no-see-ums. Yes. But... So they can be a little bit of a pain, but once again, I mean, if you settle in somewhere, there are measures you can take
to
help alleviate that a little bit.
Don't have standing water around your area, and then they have little like zappers and little mosquito things, and like Greg said, they do have mosquito control, who is very proactive and comes around and treats. So, but still exists. Okay, so number 8 is. There's a few different things here that I want to cover. So like the isolation, Keys disease, kind of like thinking about like what you want your life to look like when you're down here. A lot of people ask us, like, do we feel claustrophobic or do we feel isolated on the island? We do not. I think that's a very personal...
I've actually never felt that way.
Yeah.
Like not even in the
But I can see maybe someone feeling that way, especially if you don't like I was saying, having access to like, oh, I want to go, wander around Target for whatever amount of time, or I want to go, I don't know, like if none of your friends live down here.
If you move down here by yourself, you're not in a relationship or married or whatever, and you literally move here by yourself, you get a rental by yourself, and you work remotely, so all you're doing is working from home. I can see where that could maybe be a little bit more challenging, but there's always something going on, so you can get out and meet people but if you're a homebody and you don't want to do that, then maybe it would be. But I think, a lot of times you have like seasonal depression up in like New York and stuff like that because it gets really dark and gloomy and cold. Well, it doesn't get that way here.
No.
So maybe you could get it, I guess, but
I think it's just
not to the same extent.
It's about being proactive about getting out there and kind of, again, kind of thinking about what you want your life to look like here. There's no shortage of things to do, things to get involved in. So the isolation thing, that has never been something for us, or like claustrophobic or feeling like disconnected because the community is so strong here, but just something to think about. And as far as Keys disease,
it's definitely real.
It's real. We have some friends who lived here at some point and they ended up leaving because he got Keys disease. But basically, it's kind of just like the bad habit of, I think, maybe partying a little too much, drinking a little too much, and not being productive in your life. And that can happen too. And again, to me, it's about thinking about what you want your life to look like here. If you're coming here for that, like, listen, no judgment.
Do it, but you probably won't last.
Yeah, because you're
going to run out of money.
Yeah,
sure.
yeah, absolutely. But just being aware if you have sort of that maybe like tendency to just think about how you're going to create a life here where you don't get Keys disease and you are not forced off of the island if you want to be here long term. Number 9, pets.
Love them.
Get one. A rescue.
If you don't have one, get one. If you already have one, get another.
Florida Keys SPCA. Amazing.
Yeah.
So the topic here is really the weather, really the climate, and the thought of how that impacts your animals.
If your pet is like a dog, I guess you can walk a cat. But like if you're taking a dog out for a walk, a short nose like Archie's or Pug or Frenchie, Bulldog, anything like that, you need to be extra aware of this heat.
Yes, because they can overheat very quickly. Any dog can, especially the short-nosed dogs, but any dog can, because it is extremely oppressive here. You can tell with our girls, even once it starts to get super hot, like in the past few weeks, it started to get really hot here. Whenever we would take our girls like out for a walk, a lot of times they wouldn't really want water till we got home. And now when we're on our walk, we always have water with us. They drink water frequently while we're on the walk. So you can tell like they're getting dehydrated faster. They're getting hot faster. So, I mean, it just doesn't take much. And we go on our
walks. So it's not like, oh, well, I'll just go early in the morning.
Yeah.
We go on our walks at like 7:15, 7:30 in the morning.
And we have them in a stroller half the time with fans, their water, a chill pad.
Yeah.
Like, we take all the precautions and they still get very warm.
It's almost gotten now, I think, to where we can't take them with us to lunch.
Right.
Because even just sitting there, even if they're in the shade, it's too warm for them.
Yeah. Like if we're eating outside, we can't. Yeah. Right. So, and also like their feet on the pavement as well is something.
Dog boots.
Yeah.
I know your dog's not going to like it initially, but they'll learn to be okay with it. Naya, she wore boots all the time. When we first put them on, she did your regular kick out the legs and everything like that. But then after she got used to wearing them for so often, she acted like she didn't know how to walk when she wasn't wearing them.
Because there's like a lot of rocks and stuff around here. Like people don't really have a lot of grass. They landscape with rocks, and she did not want to walk on the rocks because she liked having her boots on.
Baby feet.
Yeah, exactly. So you can get them off Amazon. They're very affordable, and just being really aware of that. And it doesn't have to be 100 degrees outside for the pavement to be too hot for your animal's feet. I think there's something it says. I think it's like the pavement is, I don't want to misquote it, but it's somewhere between 20 and 40 degrees hotter than the air outside at any given time, especially on sunny days. So it can feel very comfortable to you. I always wear flip-flops, so I just take my foot out of my flip-flop and feel the ground. But if you don't do that, just be really, really mindful. We've seen people, the one I'm thinking of for sure, it was tourists that were down on Duval Street. We were down last summer, and they were trying to like tie their bikes up or something, and they had a little dog who was standing on the sidewalk beside them and was like tap dancing because the people were not paying attention at all. It didn't even occur to them because they have shoes on. So it's not even on their radar that even the sidewalk is so hot that it's like burning the dog's feet. So just be aware, be prepared for that. And
remember, I mean, and sometimes you got to leave your dog home.
Sometimes you have to.
And that's unfortunate because we love taking our dogs with us wherever we go. But if we know it's going to be too hot, you just can't bring them. It's not worth the risk, in my opinion.
Yeah, heat stroke is very real, and it happens very quickly.
Our vet has been sending that out. Yes. Like, they've sent out multiple emails, which my guess would mean they're having multiple patients come in. So just
hypervigilance when it comes to that.
Be aware.
Yeah.
Shorter walks.
Yes.
Like earlier, we used to go on really long walks in the morning.
Yeah.
We just can't now with Winnie. Yeah. But Winnie's really loves her walk, so we'll take her on a short walk.
Trying to go earlier in the morning, later in the evening, making sure you have water.
Fans.
Yeah. All right, number 10, this is the last one, is getting involved in the community / giving back. Our community is so vibrant here, and it is so amazing, and it's one of the things that we love the most about Key West is how the community really is so, I don't know, I'm trying to think of like the right word. Like I think it's just like a beautiful community. Like the people here and
all inclusive. It's
yes. And it's very,
come as you are.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, yes. And there's so much culture. I mean, we've taken art classes since we've been here, which we love.
We've taken 3 art classes.
We've never done that before, but like we really, we love doing that. There's always like a really interesting speaker on the island. Mm-hmm. There's there's so much. There's
always something going on the island.
Always. And then also the Florida Keys SPCA, we mentioned them earlier, we're massive rescue animal. We're big animal lovers, but rescue in particular. And the Florida Keys SPCA is so amazing. It's such an amazing organization. They have the most incredible programs. There's Lower Keys Habitat for Humanity. There's Wesley House Services. There's so many. I'm never, ever, ever going to get anywhere close to naming off all the amazing organizations that are here, but get involved. Like anything having to do with the environment. Like there's
always cleanups going on. There's
the coral
restoration.
Yeah, restoration. There's ocean cleanup, beach cleanup. There's so much. There's just so much incredible work being done here on this island, for the people of this island. And it's a great opportunity to give back to the island if you decide to make your home here, and also to meet other sort of like-minded people. So I think that I just wanted to presence that and say, like, I think that that's something that maybe people don't think about, but think about what you care about, think about what you'd like to get involved in, think about the types of people you'd like to be around, and become involved in those things, even if it's not volunteering, if it's an art class, right? That's a similar, someone said the other day that, one of the things they do that has helped them build connections is like pickleball, right? It's like doing something like that. If you love to, there's a bicycle club, and they go riding every morning.
Club or something that we see all
Absolutely.
the time.
I mean, there is no shortage. So just figure out what you're interested in, what you want to get involved in. Think about that, and like dive in when you get here and start giving back to the community, getting involved, meeting the good people who are doing amazing things on the island, and make yourself at home.
And lend a hand. Be a good neighbor.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Yeah. So those are the 10 things we thought you should know if you're thinking about moving to Key West. There's more.
There's more. Now, hopefully that all those don't scare you off.
No.
That is not our goal in this.
No.
It is just to prepare you for when you make that leap. And you can definitely make that leap. We actually, Stephanie met someone just yesterday saying that she followed us on our social media, lived in Boston, wanted to move down to Key West, and made it happen. Transferred her jobs, has roommates, and
she's
absolutely loving it.
She's so happy.
It can all happen.
Yes.
So this is just so you're aware and prepared. Because what we wouldn't want you to do is, this is so cool, I got a job. And then you come down here and you're like, all right, housing's going to be no problem. Well, I got news for you. There's been more people that just turned out they can't take the job because they can't find housing.
Yeah.
So be prepared.
Yeah.
And come on down. Have a great time.
Yeah.
And live your best life.
Absolutely. The island life is the best life.
Island life is the life.
It's the life. Yeah, absolutely. And if you guys have questions or comments, like leave them in the comments below. You can always reach out to us. We are live every single day on TikTok. If you're not following us, you should. It's Living in Key West is our handle. And we talk to people all day long on TikTok. So there's a million ways to get a hold of us. But if you're looking to buy, sell, if you have a property and you'd like to rent it out, property management, any of that, we would love to chat with you.
Cool.
Absolutely.
All right, guys. Thank you.
Thank you.
See ya. Bye.